Thanks for joining us at this time. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. The top stories. Presidency says plans are underway to tackle poverty and insecurity head-on. No fewer than 119 inmates of the Medium Security Custodial Center Suleja escape following hours of heavy downpour in Niger State. President of the African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, says non-transparent resource-backed loans are undermining African economic potential. We'll bring you details in a moment. Right, I am Omoy for Peace of Semere. The presidency has hinted of plans by the federal government to tackle poverty and insecurity head-on through financial inclusion for all Nigerians. Media reports quote the presidency as saying that high-level talks are ongoing to unveil a roadmap to integrate the unbanked Nigerian population into the formal financial system. The presidency says this is one of the primes in the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Addressing journalists yesterday ahead of a national stakeholders workshop on financial inclusion, Deputy Chief of Staff to the President, Senator Ibrahim Hassan Hadeja, emphasized the administration's commitment to an all-inclusive Nigeria under the renewed hope agenda. Hadeja stated that economic and financial inclusion will enable Nigerians to access a range of financial services at a reasonable cost. According to media reports, the two-day workshop is geared at sensitizing stakeholders and chart a course for accelerating financial inclusion efforts nationwide. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, says that there is a need to address systemic issues that undermine the integrity of the nation's justice system. Ariwola, who stated this during the National Summit on Justice, listed the issues as corruption, inefficiency, and undue influence, stressing that upholding the independence and impartiality of the judiciary is paramount, as it is the cornerstone of a functioning democracy and the guarantor of the rule of law. He said, given the expectations of the judiciary, undertaking a holistic reform of the sector had become necessary. The CJN also said the judiciary must leverage technology and innovation to streamline court processes, reduce delays, and improve the overall efficiency of the judicial system. Let's head on now to Niger State, where no fewer than 119 inmates of the Medium Security Custodial Center Suleja have escaped following hours of heavy downpour, which reportedly destroyed part of the facility on Wednesday night. Spokesman of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Command of the Nigeria Correctional Service, Adamu Duza, disclosed this in a statement Thursday morning. While the service has activated its recapturing mechanisms in conjunction with sister security agencies, 10 fleeing inmates have been recaptured and taken into custody while still in a hot chase to recapture the rest. Duza said the service is not unmindful of the fact that many of its facilities were built during the colonial era and that they are old and weak, adding that the service is making frantic efforts to see that all aging facilities give way to modern ones. The service further enjoined the public to look out for the fleeing inmate and report any suspicious movement to the nearest security agency. The Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee has hinted that an amendment to an existing tax law will be sent to the National Assembly to ensure that tax compliance and also prevent default by the political class. Should the proposed executive bill be passed, politicians found guilty of tax evasion will be barred from seeking elective offices. Chairman of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, made this known at the 2024 Strategic Retreat for Staff of the Joint Tax Board, JTB, in Abuja. Oyedele also outlined key reforms and tax compliance among politicians and the plan to set up a national tax amnesty program later this year titled Voluntary Disclosure or Declaration Program. You're watching news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. Still to come, a 4-year-old pupil, Miguel Ovoke, has been confirmed dead on account of aspiration on meat during school feeding hours at BrickHall Schools, Abuja. Plus, lead British International School in Abuja may be getting a run for its money as a student, Namtira Bwala, who was bullied, has threatened legal action against the school. A candid conversation on this with our education consultant. News analysis returns after this break. Do join us again. Right, welcome back. This is news analysis live on Politics and Business TV. President of the African Development Bank, AFDB, Akinwumi Adesina, has said that non-transparent resource-backed loans that complicate debt resolution and compromise a country's future growth are undermining African economic potential. According to a statement from the bank, Adesina said this at the Semaphore Africa Summit taking place on the sidelines of the International Monetary Fund and World Bank 2024 spring meetings. According to media reports, Adesina highlighted the challenges posed by Africa's ballooning external debt, which reached $824 billion in 2021, with countries dedicating 65% of their GDP to servicing these obligations. He said the continent would pay $74 billion in debt service payments this year alone, a sharp increase from $17 billion in 2010. While acknowledging the fiscal pressures faced by African nations due to the COVID-19 pandemic, infrastructure needs and rising inflation, Adesina emphasized the need to address the structural issues in Africa's debt landscape. Now, a 4-year-old pupil, Miguel Ovoke, has been confirmed dead on account of aspiration on meat during school feeding hours at BrickHall Schools located at the cadastral zone B11 Kora in Abuja. According to media reports, the death certificates dated April 24, 2024 and issued by Excel Specialist Hospital in Abuja. The deceased was brought to the hospital by his teachers around 11 a.m. in an unconscious state. The medical report, signed by Dr. Akinwande Ajayi on behalf of the medical director, said the medical team had, upon examination, found that the boy's pupils were fixed and dilated with a non-reactive response to light, further indicating that all efforts of the medical team to resuscitate him proved abortive. Now, in a very disturbing video which has and still sparking public outrage, a lead British International School in Abuja may be getting a run for its money, not just because it has been shut down for 3 days following the incident of bullying within the school premises, but because the student, Namtira Bwala, who was bullied, has threatened legal action against the school if it fails to punish those who assaulted her. In a viral video posted on the internet on the 22nd of April, Ms. Bwala was seen being bullied by a notorious group of student bullies in the school, led by a confidant, Mariam Hassan, and Ms. Falia. The school has since been shut down through an order issued on Tuesday by the Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Kennedy Ohaneye. However, in a letter through her solicitors, Deji Adeyanju and partners, the bullied student said if the school authorities failed to sanction the student bullies within 48 hours of the receipt of the letter, she would seek an immediate and severe legal redress against the school. She urged the school authorities to immediately investigate and pronounce the stiffest possible sanctions in the students' rule book on Mariam Hassan, Falia, and 9 other students. My guest is an education consultant and she joins me virtually, but let's take a look at the video and then come back for a discussion.
Like counting.
What's the boy's name? Your speech. What's the boy's name? What's the boy's name? What's his name?
Okay.
What's the boy's name?
One.
You know what's up? Your face is red. See. What's the boy's name?
You sabi go where they do the same thing.
you clap. 3, you ready? 3. 3. You are ready. What's the boy's name? You know what if people come downstairs? There's no boy. There's no boy. Just to impress. Why didn't you do it?
All right. I'm being joined now by Margaret Udo, the founder, Youth Reformation and Awareness Center, and also Women of Great Minds Initiative. She is also an education consultant and also the acting president, West African Society Forum organizations in Nigeria. Good afternoon to you, madam. Thank you so much for joining us. Right, if you can hear me, quite a very disturbing video there, but is this a pointer to moral and societal decadence?
Are you hearing me? Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me, madam?
I can hear you.
Right, I'm asking that this is a very, disturbing issue or development, if you like. I'm sure you saw the video. The question now will be whether or not this is a pointer to moral or societal decadence.
The whole thing is mixed up. I cannot hear well, but I think it's caused by certain factors. Are you hearing me?
Your voice is quite
Your voice
faint.
is quite faint.
I'm afraid to take a breather and we'll be back in a moment. Do stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. This is News Analysis Live on Politics. This is News Analysis Live on Politics and Business TV, and I still have Madam Margaret Udo live via Zoom to discuss this very disturbing trend. Madam Margaret, if you can hear me, is this a pointer to moral or societal decadence?
Yes.
In what sense?
In what sense?
Yes.
It has to do with watering the values that should be instilled in children when they are being with the parents. We have taken so many things for granted, particularly this bullying aspect. It has to do with a lot of things that happen in our different homes. Parents have been relaxed about the character of their children. That's the cause of it. For instance, there are certain attitudes that should not be taken for granted. Greed is one of them. not being content with what a child has. That's one. Attitude of arrogance, and even the way the children relate with one another in the homes. Then abuse and violence that occur in different homes. They all count to this. And sometimes parents and adults do not take things they should be serious about seriously. Rather, they take things for granted. I remember those days when they call, I don't know, are you hearing me?
Yes, please, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. I remember those days when I was a teacher. I noticed some parents are carefree about the attitude of bullying in school. They say everybody was bullied. The child should be there. The child should bear it when his or her time comes. He or she too will be able to bully other children. It was a very bad attitude, and some children take that for granted, that they bear it and wait for the period that they too will come up to bully other children. And it was a very bad thing. I used to complain a lot about it. And some parents do not find out why the children are scared of going to school.
All right.
Why the children...
Before we go, deep into that, there are concerns that some of these cases are underreported. And you've been able to highlight a number of issues why some of these children, exhibit this kind of, disturbing and quite worrying behavior. You talked about greed, you talked about lack of contentment and arrogance. Also, there is a popular saying that charity begins at home. However, it shouldn't end there. I believe there are kids that were well brought up at home, but perhaps, peer pressure or undue influence from their classmates may tend to bring about some sort of shifts in terms of behavioral changes.
Hello?
Yes, please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I did all, but you said something about kids that were well brought up.
Yes, I mean, we've seen cases of kids that were well brought up at home, but then when they leave the confines of their home, maybe to boarding schools, or they travel to to meet relatives, there seems to be a shift in behavioral and attitudinal carry on. Right. Margaret is founder, Youth Reformation and Awareness Center, and also Women of Great Minds initiative. She is also an education consultant. Apparently, we're having a little bit of a network issues right here in the studios. But
so some children that behave that way.
Right.
It depends on the depth of the upbringing. There is something we call a peer pressure. When you bring up your children, you should ensure that they have self-respect, self-worth, and they see themselves as the best of everything, so that they don't joke with anything that will bring down their self-worth. One of them is not using your time right, joining the time of other people, joining to enjoy the values of others. Parents should instill the kind of values that are almost permanent in their children. First of all, you have to give your children the value of admiration, admiring themselves, seeing them as worthy individuals, not having low self-esteem, not feeling that anybody has a right to bully you. And then teaching children to respect other children too. And as you said, charity begins at home. Most of these things are done at home with our younger brothers and younger sisters, because we have what we call preferential treatment, preferential upbringing, where girls are kept in a particular level, where boys are kept in a particular level, boys preferential upbringing, and then we have what we call house helps. And we do not treat those house helps as human beings. Those are the attitudes that the children take to schools. You may be well, you may bring them well, but you don't see the attitude of respect to others, particularly those that save you at home. In some homes, children, they don't call uncle this, uncle that, except the parent friends. Driver, mom is calling you. Whoever is a cook, they treat them in the way they like. And those children do not have the value to honor people, to respect people. And when they go out, no matter how well they were brought up, that attitude remains in them. They go and bully the weaker and vulnerable children. And those other children also will tolerate, because as I said, they say when that time comes to, they will bully others. They keep quiet about these things. They do not report, because they know they will do it later. And also schools may not be serious about punishing those that do it. So that
if you let me come in, just to bring this in real quick. In recent times, we've seen videos, and we've also seen, a handful of, views from mothers, especially, charging their words that as you are going to school, if someone should hit you, hit the person back. Is that supposed to be the best self-defense mechanism to instill, in our children?
It's not. It's not. You have to teach your children to report, because there is a hierarchy of authority everywhere. So a child should be taught the first authority at home is that of parents. A child that respects the parents should go to school and respect the teacher, and know that the teacher is a person that has taken the role of his or her parents. And then the school authority, the principal, and others. And then a normal parent should teach the children to report what they cannot do.
Right. Well, it's been quite a day, especially with the internet reception. Should I say it has been poor or fair? But really, it's really having a very, very negative impact on the show today. But would actually take a. All right.
So sorry, my dear. So the teachers have the authority, the school authority, are the people responsible to whatever happens to their children. So when children do not respect the authority of the school, they take laws into their hands. And also it's the role of the parents to teach those things.
But, if you are to apportion, blames at this point in time, are you looking at the parents or the teachers?
As a parenting expert, I blame almost everything on the parents, because you are the owner of that child. You are supposed to know your child from birth, because the child belongs to you. And when you are even taking the child to register in a school, you should submit by right. Those I'm consulting for those schools, I ensure that they receive the growth record of the child, not just the vaccination and inoculation record. They need to know when this child saw at first. So I tell parents, record everything about your child, so that the teachers will be able to bring up your child. That thing, the first point of training is the parents. You transfer to the school should be able to take up from where you stop and then send you back the report, so that two of you work together to bring up the child. So I blame the parents first.
All right.
The parents, the first teacher, the first everything.
following your wealth of experience, talk us through what is obtainable in private and public schools in terms of behavioral issues and punitive mechanisms.
When it comes to, I just say what I know because I'm not working in any school, but I go there to provide services. In public school, one, these are children that are from disadvantaged backgrounds. Most of them, like this Abuja, apart from schools like model secondary schools, few schools like that, most schools that are public are habited by house helps. Those people that do not have well-to-do parents. So the private schools have the students or children from well-to-do homes. So they are of advantage because they teach them better and other things. So those students from private schools have better some of them have better self-esteem. And also depends on the background they're coming from because they're from rich homes. And some of these rich homes do not have the time to teach humility to their children. I don't know if you get me. So when they move out of the house, they are dropped by their drivers or they are there in the school, they are rich children. They have that A around them. So except a parent is really ready to teach their children humility. Private schools are made up of children from affluent, which I don't know what to put it, to advantaged backgrounds. So those children, some of them are very cocky. Except you can instill humility in them, they will bully. The other school, and sometimes we have heard stories where parents go and intimidate teachers. I think you know that.
But that is obtainable in, our public schools, right? Not private.
And that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Right.
And sometimes, even in the private schools, depending on the values that the school promotes, those are children from high up there. So some teachers who may not have that kind of self-confidence may over-respect and fear those children because of their parents. And some children who are well brought up will look down on their teachers.
All right.
Will feel they can do anything. I can give you an example of my child that was in a private school. The son of the owner of the school, I'm talking about maybe 20-something years ago, bullied my child. I went there to that school. I went straight to the owner of the school and told the man that if the son beats up my child again, I'll remove my child from that school. That is me. Some of us said I should have allowed the child to be bullied. So it depends very much on the attitude of the parents.
Okay, so because of time, was shutting down the school the best approach to handling this issue in a yes or no response?
It's not.
Okay, so how best can a bullying of students be curtailed?
It's through like orientation programs.
Okay.
Like when schools resume, they should have proper orientation program to teach the children discipline, things that they go on that should go on in schools, acceptable and non-acceptable things. They should let them know the punishment or penalties that go with certain things, and they should enforce them. And like my organization, we carry out what we call parental academic involvement. Those fora or forums are very good where you put in teacher, parents, and the children, and you discuss generally with them They can do that maybe the first quarter or first month. And then the school management team will be able to tell the parents and the children what are obtainable in their school and what are not obtainable, and the penalties and reward. Don't do anything, only penalty without reward. Reward must be also emphasized. So they go back with that. They know that they should not do certain things. And then if you do it, you were told, so you are punished for it. You cannot close down a school because of the issue of a few children. What of the rest of the children? Do they have to suffer because of that? So it is wrong.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for talking to us, Margaret Udo, a founder, Youth Reformation and Awareness Center, and also Women of Great Minds Initiative. She is also the acting president of West African Society Forum organizations in Nigeria. We understand you represent you represent quite a number of things. But thank you so much for talking to us, Margaret Udo.
Thank you so much. I would have done better if I was at the studio because of the interruptions and
we look forward to having you next time.
Talk about something else or more elaborate on this parental academic school involvement and other things.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I hope I had said something anyway.
So much. Well, that's it for news analysis today. Thank you so much for watching. I am Omoife Piso Semere, and I'll be back in a moment with the news update. Good afternoon.